There's something quietly powerful about people who grew up in the 1970s. Not because life was perfect, but because the brain was shaped under conditions that no longer exist. If you were raised in that era, your childhood happened during a rare moment in human history when freedom was real, responsibility was unavoidable, and boredom was part of daily life. That's why many people from the 70s look at today's world with a calm smile, not mockery, understanding, because they lived through something that can't be recreated, a childhood that trained the mind instead of entertaining it. So what actually made growing up in the 70s so different, and why does it still show up in the way you think, react, and live today? 1. Self-built problem solving. If you grew up back then, no one designed your day for you. No apps, no schedules, no constant guidance. If you said you were bored, that was your problem, not your parents'. So you learned early how to invent purpose. You figured things out, you explored, you read, you built things. You disappeared on your bike for hours. Psychology shows that children who grow up with unstructured time develop stronger decision-making skills and creativity. Your brain learned how to create meaning from nothing, a skill many people never develop. 2. Calm under pressure. You didn't grow up protected from risk. You grew up navigating it. You climbed things you probably shouldn't have. You fell. You got hurt. You recovered. Those experiences taught your nervous system something important. Not every threat is a crisis. Research shows that children who experienced manageable physical risk develop better emotional regulation and lower anxiety as adults. That's why chaos doesn't rattle you easily. Your brain knows the difference between danger and discomfort. 3. Comfort with being alone. You spent time without stimulation, long stretches of it. No endless scrolling, no notifications pulling your attention every few seconds. You listened to music. You thought, you wandered, you were alone, and it didn't scare you. Studies on pre-digital childhoods show that people raised without constant connectivity are far more comfortable with silence and solitude. You learned early that boredom isn't an emergency, it's a doorway. 4. Real patience. Everything required waiting. Shows came once a week. Photos took days. Phone calls only worked if someone was home. Delayed gratification wasn't a lesson, it was life. Psychology consistently links early patience training with better emotional control, stronger relationships, and long-term success. That's why instant rewards rarely impress you. You were trained to wait and to value what was worth waiting for. 5. Independent judgment. You left the house with one rule: be back before dark. No tracking, no constant check-ins, no adult hovering nearby. You had to read situations, make choices, and deal with outcomes on your own. Research shows that children given real autonomy develop stronger internal motivation and critical thinking skills. That's why you don't need constant direction. You trust your judgment because it was tested early. The truth most people miss. When you feel out of place in today's world, it's not because you're outdated. It's because you're carrying skills that are becoming rare. What looks like emotional distance is actually competence. What looks like silence is depth. What looks like patience is discipline. You didn't grow up broken. You grew up forged. For a brief moment in history, childhood was both free and formative. And if you lived through it, you carry that wiring for life. If you grew up in the 70s and believe it was the best era to be a kid, drop a comment. And if you enjoy psychology-based content that explains why you are the way you are, hit subscribe. There's a lot more coming.